Debt verdict. DV. Title. From 173K in debt to completely free in 4 years. Formula. Transformation. Derivum min. Duration 1,350 words. They looked at the spreadsheet and the number stared back at them. $173,000. Student loans, car loans, credit cards, a lifestyle they couldn't afford. For a moment, they felt completely hopeless. 4 years later, they made their final payment, and the scream they let out was heard by millions. This is the story of how one ordinary couple clawed their way out of $173,000 in debt, dollar by dollar, sacrifice by sacrifice, and changed their lives forever. Said how they got there. It started the way it starts for millions of Americans. Slowly, quietly, then all at once. The student loans came first. Between the two of them, they carried over $80,000 in federal and private student loan debt. At the time, it felt normal. Everyone they knew had student loans. The monthly payments were just part of life. Then came the cars. 2 brand new vehicles. Financed. Because after working hard through college, didn't they deserve something nice? That added another $45,000 to the pile. The credit cards filled in the gaps. Groceries when the checking account was low. A vacation they told themselves they'd pay off next month. New furniture for the apartment. A dinner out because they were stressed and didn't feel like cooking. $12,000 here, $15,000 there. The balances crept higher. By the time they sat down and added it all up, they owed $173,000 to 9 different lenders. Their combined household income was around $85,000 a year. More than half of their take-home pay was going to minimum payments. They were drowning, and they'd been so busy treading water they hadn't realized how deep they'd gone. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. A bill collector called during dinner. It was the 3rd call that week from the same agency about a credit card that had gone to collections. They sat at the kitchen table after the call and looked at each other. Really looked at each other. And one of them said the words out loud for the first time. We can't keep living like this. That night, they didn't sleep. They pulled out every statement, every balance, every minimum payment. They wrote it all down on a single sheet of paper. $173,000. It felt like looking at a prison sentence. But then something shifted, because the number was no longer a vague dread lurking in the background. It was concrete. It was on paper. And for the first time, it was something they could fight. They started researching, reading books, listening to podcasts, and they found Dave Ramsey. Ramsey's method was simple, almost aggressively simple. List your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. Pay minimums on everything except the smallest debt. Throw every spare dollar at that one until it's gone. Then roll that payment into the next one, and the next, and the next. It's called the debt snowball. Mathematically, paying off high-interest debt first saves more money. But the snowball isn't about math. It's about psychology. It's about building momentum, feeling wins, getting proof that the plan is working. They committed, fully, no half measures. What followed was 4 years of deliberate, sometimes painful sacrifice. They sold both cars and bought 2 used vehicles for a combined $6,000 in cash. No more car payments. They moved out of their apartment and into a smaller, cheaper rental. They saved $650 a month. They canceled every subscription, Netflix, Spotify, the gym membership they barely used, the meal kit service, all of it. They stopped eating out. Period. Every meal was cooked at home, planned on Sunday, prepped in bulk. Their weekly grocery budget was $60 for 2 people. One of them picked up a weekend job delivering pizzas. The other started freelancing at night after their full-time job. Between the two of them, they were working 70 to 80 hours a week. Every paycheck had a name before it hit the bank account. Every dollar was assigned a job. They tracked their spending in a notebook, not an app, a physical notebook, because writing it down made it real. Birthdays were celebrated with homemade gifts. Christmas was modest. Vacations didn't exist. Friends stopped inviting them out because the answer was always the same. We can't right now. We're paying off debt. It was lonely. It was exhausting. Some months they wanted to quit, but then they'd cross another debt off the list. The smallest credit card, gone. The next one, gone. The collections account, settled and gone. Each line they drew through a balance on that sheet of paper was fuel, proof that they were winning.
Climax.
The final payment. 3 years and 11 months after they started, they logged into their student loan account for the last time. The remaining balance was $1,247.63. They had the money sitting in their checking account. They'd been saving it for this exact moment. One of them hit the Pay in Full button while the other recorded it on their phone. The confirmation screen appeared. Balance, and then the scream. If you've ever watched The Dave Ramsey Show, you know the debt-free scream. It's a tradition. Callers who have paid off all their debt call in and scream as loud as they can. This couple didn't just scream, they sobbed. They held each other in their kitchen and cried in a way they hadn't cried since that night at the table 4 years earlier. But this time, the tears were different. Their segment aired on The Dave Ramsey Show shortly after. When they announced $173,000 paid off in 4 years on a combined income of $85,000, the studio audience erupted. Here's what changed. Without debt payments consuming their income, they suddenly had over $3,000 a month in cash flow they'd never had before. Within 6 months, they had a fully funded emergency fund, 6 months of expenses in a savings account. For the first time in their adult lives, an unexpected car repair or medical bill wasn't a crisis. Within 2 years, they put a down payment on a modest home, a 15-year fixed mortgage. They refused to go back to the 30-year trap. They started investing, retirement accounts, index funds. The money that used to go to credit card companies was now building their future. But the biggest change wasn't financial, it was relational. The stress that had hung over their marriage for years was gone. They stopped arguing about money. They started dreaming together again. They began mentoring other couples at their church, walking them through the same process, budgeting workshops, accountability groups, paying it forward. Here's what makes this story matter. This couple didn't win the lottery. They didn't get an inheritance. They didn't have a 6-figure income or a trust fund or a side business that went viral. They had $85,000 a year, a $173,000 problem, and the willingness to be uncomfortable for 4 years. The debt snowball works not because it's mathematically optimal, but because it's psychologically relentless. Every small win builds belief. Every crossed-off balance proves that the mountain is shrinking. The average American household carries $104,215 in total debt, according to Experian's 2020